Hey, this is MJ, and in today's tutorial I'll be showing you how to make the granny pop cardigan. The pullover was so popular, I had so many requests to do a cardigan version of this. So it is also worked from the top down in a raglan style. And we do some increases to increase this front panel here. I've added ribbing to finish it off. And you can really make it as long as you want and then finish with a nice ribbed band along the bottom. Because of the construction of this cardigan, it's worked all in one piece and there's no seaming, making it a really easy, beginner-friendly pattern. This video does assume that you already know how to crochet, so I will work through the stitches fairly quickly, but I will work through each of the steps of the pattern. Now, if you need to slow the video down, click on the gear icon below this video and you can adjust the speed, or you can always pause and rewind the video. The cardigan I'm showing here is worked in Mary Maxim Best Value. It's a premium acrylic worsted weight number 4. It is on the lighter side of a worsted weight, and the color that I've worked it up in is Cottonwood. And similar to our pullover, I've also worked it up in a beautiful gradient yarn, so you can see how it looks with the color changes. And the yarn that I've used for this sweater is Prism. This is a different color. I used Lakeside for this, but the yarn that I used is Prism, and you can see how it gradually changes color throughout, and there's lots of different color options. So I will have the links for the yarn that I used in the description box below. And you will need 2 hook sizes for this crochet pattern. So I'm working with a 5 and a 4.5 millimeter. So I'll be working with the 5 millimeter for the stitch pattern throughout, and then the ribbing I will drop to the smaller hook so that I will use the 4.5. So we're going to begin with our 5 millimeter crochet hook, and we're going to start out with a chain of 80. So I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook. And I'm going to go ahead and chain out 80. Okay, so I've chained a total of 80 now in the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, we're going to turn our work over to the side so we can see the back humps of the chain. And we're going to work single crochets into those back humps. This is just going to give us a nice edge. Once I work through a couple stitches here, I can show you. So it's going to give us that nice stitch look edge on this side. If you could prefer, you could also do foundation single crochets, and you need a total of 79. So we've worked in the second chain from the hook, so we'll end up with 79 single crochets worked into the back bumps. I just find this is a little more beginner friendly to just work in the back bumps rather than the foundation single crochet. But if you are more advanced and want to do that, then that's fine too. And if you're struggling to get that back bump, then just go into the back loop of the chain. That will work fine as well. So I'm going to continue this now along the chain. Okay, so I have completed that. So this is going to be the start of the top of our cardigan, and we're going to be working it from the top down. It's going to be a raglan style, just like our pullover. So now we're going to chain 3 and work 3 double crochets in the first stitch. I'm going to skip the next stitch and I'm going to work my V in the next stitch. So a V stitch is made by going through the stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through two, pull through two. So we've made our first double crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. So this is actually the front panel of the cardigan, and the next section we'll be working across is going to be a sleeve, and we're working across a total of 21 stitches in this pattern. So we'll chain one, skip the first stitch, work a double crochet in the next three. Chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next three. So when we're counting across 21, that includes those chain ones or the skip stitches. Chain one, skip a stitch, and double crochet in the next three. So we want to work across 21 stitches in total. Okay, I'm to 20 stitches. We'll chain one. We're going to skip the next stitch and we'll do a V in the next. So double crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. Okay, so you can see now our front, our V. This will be one of our sleeves, and now we have a V, and now we'll be working to the back section. So we'll chain one, skip the next stitch, double crochet in the next three, chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next three, and this time we're going across a total of 29. Chain one, skip a stitch. So it's just very repetitive. I'm going to continue working and I'll meet you up at that 28th stitch. Okay, so I've worked over to 28. We'll chain one, that will be 29, skipping that stitch, and then in the next we'll do another V. Double, chain one, double crochet, chain one, skip the next stitch, and we're working across 21 again for our next sleeve. Chain one, and three doubles. Okay, so I've worked across 20, chain one for 21, skip the next stitch, and then a V in the next. So double crochet, chain one, and a double crochet. We'll chain one, skip the next stitch, and in our last stitch, we're going to work 4 double crochet. And this completes row 1. So we've made our separations for our sleeve, our back, and our front panels. Okay, so now we'll chain 3, turn, and we'll work in between our doubles here. We're going to work 3 doubles. We'll chain 1, and in our chain 1 space, we'll work 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3. We'll chain 1, and in our V, we're going to work another V stitch. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So always in the V's, we'll be working a V stitch. And in our chain 1 spaces now, we're working 3 doubles with a chain 1 in between. So we'll chain 1, work 3 doubles in that first chain 1 space, chain 1, work 3 doubles in the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and we're just going to repeat this across to the next V, and I'll meet you there. Okay, I've worked my last 3 double crochets. We'll chain 1, and in our V, we're going to work another V stitch. So a double, chain 1, and a double. Chain 1, and in our first chain 1 space, 3 doubles. Chain 1, in our next chain 1 space, 3 doubles. And I'm going to repeat this across. In my next V, I'll work another V stitch and continue. Okay, I've worked across the back, I've chained 1, and we'll work another V in the V stitch. So important to remember, we're chaining 1 between all of the 3 double crochets we're making in our chain 1 spaces. I just want to mention that if you are finding this tutorial fast, you can go to your settings, which is the little gear icon, click on it, and you can slow down the speed. But doing these full garment tutorials are quite time consuming, so it's hard for me to work through them slower, but I know some people do not realize that you can slow down the speed on YouTube tutorials. So just go ahead and click that gear icon and slow the tutorial down. Okay, so I'm going to work over to this V, and then I'll meet you up again. Okay, so we'll work our V in the V stitch, chain 1, and in our chain 1 space, we're going to work 3 doubles. Chain 1, and in between those last 2 doubles, we're going to work 4 double crochets. We need to increase this front panel to give us our nice V shape. So now what we're going to do is chain 4. I'm going to turn. I'm going to skip now all the way over to our chain 1 space right here. So we're not going to increase this time. If I increase every time, the increase pattern is going to go too quickly. Okay, so we're not going to increase this one. We'll chain 1 in the chain 1 space. We'll work 3 doubles. Chain 1, and in our V, we're going to work a double, chain 1, and a double. Okay. So as we work, our sleeve section, it goes up 1 cluster each row. The back goes up 1 cluster each row. So if we were to keep increasing our front panel by another cluster each row, we're going to get too many clusters. It's not going to equal the back, and that's not what we want. So we won't increase it every row. I'm going to now continue my way all the way across to the other side to help you finish it off. But you're just doing, as I've already shown you, chaining 1 and working 3 doubles in every chain 1 space. In every V stitch, we're working a V. Okay, so I'm coming up to the end. I've done my last 3 double crochets in the last chain 1 space. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to double crochet into that turning chain. Okay, so that's going to equal the other side. We're going to chain 3 and turn, or turn and chain 3, it doesn't matter, whatever way you prefer. And now in that chain 1 space, we're going to work 3 doubles. Chain 1, 3 doubles, chain 1 and 3 doubles. Chain 1, and we'll work double, chain 1, double crochet, another V. Okay, so we're going to continue now in this manner. So we can see here that we're increasing, and then we have a row here that we're not increasing. So this one we're increasing. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Our next row will end up with 4, and then we'll do 4 again when we don't increase that next row. So this is sort of how the pattern's going to go now. I'm still going to continue to work through it here a bit with you so that you don't get confused. So I'm going to work all the way across doing my same pattern, chain 1, 3 double crochets in the chain 1 spaces, and V's in the V stitches. Okay, so I'm coming to the end. I'm going to chain 1, and in that last chain right here, we're going to work 4 doubles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'll chain 3 and turn. So now I want to increase again. So we're going to go between these doubles and we're going to work our 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 3 doubles in our chain 1 space. Chain 1, chain 1, and we've got one more before the V, so that will bring us up to 4 clusters. Okay, so we've got 1, 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our next row we'll keep it at 4 again so that we're not increasing another time. So a V in the V stitch. So I'm going to work all the way across again, and I'll meet you up at the end. Okay, so I've already worked my last 3 DC. I've chained 1, and we want to increase, so we're going between sort of into that turning chain now and working 4 double crochets. And so we have an increase, So the next row we don't want to do an increase. We want to have it stay at 4 clusters. So we're going to chain 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, which is a repeat of that row 3 that we've already done. So this is the pattern that we're going to continue with. Now follow along with your pattern for the size that you're working on. I need to work up a total of 12 rows in total for the size that I'm working on. So I've chained 4, we're skipping all the way over to that first chain 1 space, and we're going to work 3 doubles. Okay, and then when we get, again, all the way over to this side, you're going to be ending with your chain 1 and the double crochet in the turning chain, okay, which is just a repeat of what I've already shown you. So you should be on your way now to work through the rows. Again, you can follow along with the pattern. If you subscribe through Grow on my blog, you can view the pattern there for free, or you can purchase the PDF and follow along. So the pattern does come in extra small to 5X. So there's a wide range of sizes. So if you just follow along with the pattern, it will help you work through this tutorial. So I'm going to continue working up now my 12 rows off camera, and then I'm going to meet you back up for the next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows. Okay, so I've worked this one up as big as I need to go. So now I'm ending the 12th row with that double crochet in the turning chain. So I'm going to chain 3. Depending on the size you're working on and where you have stopped, follow along with your pattern, but for this size, we're going to be working 3 doubles, into that first chain 1 space. Now we'll chain 1, okay, and I'm going to work across to my V. So I've come to my V stitch, I'm going to chain 1, and the next section is our sleeve. So we're going to skip over that completely. So we're skipping over the sleeve section and we're finding the next V stitch, and in the next chain 1 space after the V, we're going to work our 3 doubles. Okay, so now we're working across the back. Okay, so we've separated now for our sleeve, and we'll need to, when we join on for the sleeve, we're going to pull these together so it's not quite as big as the sleeve sort of seams there. But now I'm going to work across the back in our pattern. So 3 doubles in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and I'm going to continue across to our next V. And I want to mention here that we have 9 clusters for our front panel. Okay, so I have 19 clusters across the back. I'm going to chain 1. I've come to my V stitch, so the next section is our sleeve. Again, we're going to skip all the way over it to our next V, which is right here, and in the next chain 1 space after our V, we're going to work 3 double crochets. Chain 1, and now we're working across our other front panel here. And you should have 9 clusters when you work across. Okay, so the tricky part is done. We're now just going to be working back and forth in rows. So I'm going to chain 4. And I'm going to turn. And in the first chain 1 space, we're going to work 3 doubles, chain 1. In the next chain 1 space, 3 doubles, and we're working this now all the way across. So we're working our front and our fronts and our back all as one piece now. When you get to the sleeve section, when you're working across, we're just in this chain one space, even though it seems like a big gap right there because we haven't started working the sleeve. We just work that 3 right in that space. And you'll do the same thing when you reach the other sleeve section. So just keep working across in every chain one space, those 3 doubles. Okay, so I've worked across a total of 36 clusters. I'm going to end with a double in that turning chain. Now we'll chain 3. And this time we'll work our 3 doubles in the first space. And we're just going to be alternating these rows now. So one row will start with that chain 4, and then you'll do your 3 doubles over here, and then the next row starts with our chain 3 and 3 doubles. So we have this sort of alternating, and this keeps us on track. So I'm going to work across this row with you as well. Okay, so we're ending with 4 doubles in our turning chain. Okay, the next row we'll chain 4, turn, and now we're just going to keep repeating these rows back and forth. So we skip over to the first chain 1 space. In this row, we had 37 clusters. Just how this works, how these ones are more inset and these ones come out, we end up with an extra cluster on this row. I just want to show you how the cardigan's looking at this point. So you can see sort of now we have our arm openings. You're going to see how this is going to fit. We have our V. And now we're not doing any more increases. So now this is going to even up as we work down the cardigan. Now you can make this cardigan as long as you want. So this version, I'm going to show you a bit shorter, but I have the colored version showing you in a long form. So really it's up to you. You can try it on as you go. You can see, you can slip this on right now, and you can just keep crocheting the repeat of those 2 rows that I've shown you until you get it the length you want. Because even my length that I do mine, depending on your height and your body shape, you may want to alter it slightly. So don't feel like you have to do the exact same numbers of rows as what I'm doing. Just keep going until you get what you need. I'm going to continue working my body off camera, and I'll meet back to show you how to do the band. But while we're here, let's take a look at the sleeve. So when you're following along with your pattern, we're going to finish off the body section and then go to the sleeves. But as I'm filming, I'm just going to jump over and show you how you're going to join on to do this. So now I have marked the right side of my work just so I can stay on track here. When we're turning our work, it's good to know what the right side and the wrong side. So that foundation row was our right side. Our first row here working our clusters was the wrong side. So then this here was the right side. So row 2 of the clusters being the right side, when we end on row 12, we ended on our right side. So when we join for our sleeves, we want to make sure we're on the wrong side. So put the right side with the marker to the inside. I'm going to continue working my body off camera, so that will follow the pattern, but while I'm here filming, I am going to give you a demo on how to do the sleeve. So let's get to the wrong side of our work. I'm going to get a slip knot on my hook. And then I'm going to go to the underarm area. I'm going to find that V-stitch, which is right over here to the right. We're going to slip stitch. I'm going to slip stitch into the next V. Okay, so we're skipping over this big section. Now you can use the tail to sew this a little bit more closed if you want. You don't really notice it a whole lot, so it's not a big concern, but you do have that tail to weave, so you can always just tack that a little bit more if you don't want that hole too big. Now we're going to slip stitch right over to the first chain 1 space. We're going to chain 3 and work 2 doubles. Chain 1, 3 doubles in the next chain 1 space. Chain 1, and I'm going to work this all the way around. Okay, I've worked around 17. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch into our starting chain 3. I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to turn just to keep this all consistent with turning our rows. So even though we're working in the round, I'm still going to turn. Okay, we've turned, and in that first chain 1 space, we'll work 2 doubles, chain 1, work 3 doubles in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and keep working that all the way around. Okay, so I have worked all the way around. I'm going to slip stitch in that starting chain 3 to join, chain 3, and turn, and I'm just going to continue doing this for as long as I need my sleeve. So just like the body, you can try it on as you go, as you crochet it, and work the sleeve as many rounds as you need to. Okay, so really easy to customize. We're going to add a band at the very end that's going to cinch it in. Now you could leave the sleeve though without the band and have a wider looking sleeve. That would look great too. So whatever suits your fancy. You could have a 3/4 length sleeve if you wanted, really as long as you would like the sleeve for yourself. So I'm going to continue now working my sleeve, working my body. We're going to meet back up to show you how to finish those off. Now, I'm going to go ahead and complete my other sleeve as well because they're both worked the exact same. So I have a bit of work ahead of me. I'm going to crochet up my body and the rounds of my sleeves, and then we're going to meet back up. Okay, so I've worked out a total of 26 rounds for my sleeve. And I'm going to change over to my smaller hook. So I'll be working with my 4.5 millimeter now. I've already slip stitched to join. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to skip over that first space, and I'm going to work a single crochet in the first double. I'm going to skip the next double, and I'm going to work a single in the chain 1 space. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way around. So in the second double crochet, a single, and in the chain 1 space. That's going to pull in the stitches so we can have a tighter cuff. So I've worked around 34 stitches. I'm going to slip stitch in the first, single crochet to join, and now I'm going to do a join as you go cuff. So I'm going to chain out 11. And in the second chain from the hook, I'm going to work a single crochet and single crochets down the chain. So I've worked down 10 stitches. We're going to skip the first stitch. We're going to slip stitch into the next 2. Now we're going to turn and we're going to work through the back loops, only single crochets. I like to count as I go so I don't miss a stitch. So there's 10, chain 1 and turn. So our cuff is going to be worked single crochets in the back loop only, like this, all the way around. So this is the 3rd row I'm working on now, which will account for 3 of the stitches around the cuff base. Okay, so I've now completed 3 rows and we had 3 stitches here across the bottom. Now we're going to slip stitch into the next 2 and we'll work 2 more rows for these slip stitches. Okay, so we'll turn and continue. Again, we skip over those slip stitches, work in the back loop only. We're going to do this all the way around so that we have a total of 34 rows. Okay, so once you've worked all the way around, you should be ending at the top. You should be ending with only 1 slip stitch and work your way back up. Then I'm just going to put my right sides together. Now you could fasten this off and sew this if you want, or you can just slip stitch. So I'm coming over to the starting chain and going through the stitch, working a slip stitch. Okay, and just, you can fasten off once you have that, and then we can just weave this tail, and for now I'm just gonna stick it inside. So this is what the cuff's looking like. So it cinches it in for your wrist. Okay, so I've been working on the body and I've worked a total of 31 rows after we separated off the sleeves. And I will be chaining 1 and turning so that I'm back to the right side of my work. So just make sure if you alter the length that you're back to your right side for this final single crochet row we're gonna work. I ended up going with a bit longer for my cardigan because I just felt I was gonna prefer it that way, but you can stop wherever you want. You can try on as you go. You could have it a crop length, you can have it hip length, really whatever you prefer. Just stop wherever you like. So now I've chained 1, I'm going to work in the next stitch a single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then in the chain 1 space, I'll work a single crochet as well. So we're working through each double crochet stitch, a single crochet, as well as that chain 1 space. And you're just gonna work this all the way across your row. Now, if you're working on a shorter size and you feel like you want this to cinch in a little bit at the waist, you could always skip the chain 1 spaces and just single crochet in the double crochets, and then that would make it a little bit snugger around your waist. Okay, so I'm ending the last cluster here, and it will be 4 stitches. We'll do our final single crochet in the turning chain. Then we'll be changing over to our smaller hook for the join as you go band. We'll chain 11, and work single crochets, the second chain from the hook, and in each chain across. So we're working this the same way I showed you how to do the cuff. We're joining it as we go. And we have a total of 10 stitches. Okay, so we'll skip the first and slip stitch into the next two. Turn, and then we'll be skipping those slip stitches and working single crochets in the back loop only. So when you get to the end of this row, I want you to chain one and turn, work single crochets back down, slip stitch into the next two stitches, and just continue working the band across. Okay, and I'll continue working that off camera. Okay, so once I finished working the band along the bottom, I just fastened off, because what we're going to do is come back over to this side and we'll be joining on to work our edging, making sure you're on the right side of your work. Okay, so I've worked 10 stitches up the band. And now what we're going to do is work 2 stitches for every double crochet row. So basically in each of those spaces, you're just working 2 single crochet for each row of our pattern. And that will keep your stitches even. If you're still struggling, if they're not looking right, if they're looking too tight or too loose, just adjust as needed. But basically 2 single crochet per double crochet row works out usually pretty good. See, I added. And you can just quickly work that around. So you're going to do that all the way. Once you get up to the top, you can easily just work single crochets across. And when you get across all around this section, just 1 single crochet into each stitch. And then when you get to the other side, you're going to do 2 per double crochet row again. And then when you get down to the band, just 1 single crochet per stitch. So really simple. I'm going to go ahead, work that all the way around, and then I'll meet you up. Again, we're going to do a join as you go, ribbed collar all the way around. Okay, so once you've worked all the way over, we can now create our collar, and you can adjust how long or how wide your collar is. I'm going to go with the same number of stitches that I've done for the other sections. So I'm going to chain 11. And I'm going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And work single crochets down the chain. Now we'll skip the first stitch and slip stitch into the next 2. Turn, working through the back loops only. We're skipping over those slip stitches and working a single crochet in the back loop. We'll chain 1 and turn. And we'll work single crochets in the back loop. Slip stitch into the next 2. And we're just going to keep working like this. So make sure you keep track of your count. You want 10 stitches unless you've altered it, and then whatever number of stitches that you've done. And we're going to continue this all the way around. So this is going to take a little bit of time because there's a lot of stitches. We're going to have the same number of rows as we have warped stitches around our edging. Okay, so you're just working back and forth in rows, joining to the edge as you go. So once you finish the collar, you can fasten off, weave in any of your tails. You can go to the underarm area where you will notice there will be a little bit of a small hole. You can just use the tail when you joined on to close that up. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and tap the bell to stay updated on all my new videos and tutorials. If you're looking for the links and the details for this pattern, please check the description box below, and there will be a link to the blog post as well as the pattern, and you can get all of those details.